Howdy folks, we're going to do PowerPoint Chapter 3 Guided Project now. All of my files are in downloads because I've already downloaded them. And you know that I like to work from downloads, and I download each of the files individually. The one with your name on it is always the one that you're going to start with, and then we have our instructions, which nicely popped over to the window where I want them, and then our base. And oh, guess what? This is really interesting that there is no project description here for this one. But it's pretty clear that it's a presentation about energy in your home. So we're going to say you're a student and you're doing a presentation about energy in your home. There we go. I made it up. So our first instruction is always download. The second instruction says click slide 3 and insert a right arrow shape. Slide 3. This is very interesting, and if I hadn't done it so many times, it's really important that you pay attention to it and you do it exactly the way that they ask you to do it. So we want to insert a right arrow shape and position the arrow at the horizontal position of 0.4 inches from the top left corner and a vertical position of 4 inches from the top left corner. So a right arrow shape under block arrows. So I'm going to go to insert shapes and block arrows, and it wants to be a right arrow shape. Now it doesn't matter where I draw this thing because we are going to set format shape. We're going to set the size and position. So the size right here, it wants it to be 1.75 tall. And it wants it to be 3.4 inches wide. And then it wants its position, which is down here. Now if I collapse this, it'll bring position up to the top, which is a nice thing. And it wants it to be 0.4 inches from the top left corner. So notice that it keeps moving as we keep doing these. And vertical position of 4 inches from the top left corner. So there we go. And change the shape fill. So let's go to fill 2, and it wants us to actually put in the RGB values for it. So we're going to go to more colors, and when we do, you're going to see the dialog box here, and we have the RGB values. So we can do other values, but we want red to be 255, green to be 255, and blue to be 50. So green 255. I do not want to use the radio buttons to radio up to the number 255. I want to type it in because I don't even want to radio up to 50. There we go. And it wants the transparency at 10%, and I also don't want to play with that. I just want to type in 10%. And we want to, I'm going to hit OK there. We want to change the shape outline, so line, to blue in standard colors. And that's light blue, and that is blue. So there we go. And then type insulation can reduce heat loss by 2/3. So I'm going to right click and go to edit text and typing. By 2/3, and change the text color to dark blue in the standard. So, and that's going to be pretty important to change that to dark blue. And let's see, dark blue right there. Okay, because we could not see it before. All right, that's all of instruction 2. And this would be one of those areas where highlighting each part of the instruction as you do it will keep you from missing some little bitty thing. Now it wants to create a line arrow shape in the lines category so that It begins at the left center connecting point on the top circle and ends at the roof. So when I hover over, first of all, I've got to go to Insert and grab my little arrow shape. Now, when I go over here, it should give me connecting points. Maybe I didn't even shapes. There we go. Now you see the connector points. So apparently I didn't click that enough. So notice how those connector points lights up. It wants us to, and we want it to be perfectly parallel. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and that means it's going to be, and it wants it to end at the roof. Okay. And it says change the arrow so that it's 1.4 inches wide and has a weight of 2 1/4 points. So I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to go to size, and it wants it to be 1.45. But it wanted, so I'm using my arrow key to move it over there, and then it wants it to be 2 1/4 points. And so we're going to go back over here to line, and the width is 2 1/4, so 2.25 points. And change the arrow color to the theme dark gray background 1. So white, gray, dark gray, it's not playing well with me, is it? Theme color. Oh, theme color. Well, gray, white, gray. Yeah, I don't see dark gray in my theme colors. Background 1. Gray, I'm just going to do that. Gray background 1. So ensure the arrow is still selected and press Control D 3 times. Control D, D. Well, it was still selected. Oh, my focus was on the other window. D, D, D. And I now have 4 arrows. And I want to select the bottom last arrow and rename it. So I go here and here, and I go to Alt Text, and I name it Arrow 4. And then it wants me to go to this one and name it Arrow 3. Now this is nice that the box stays open and it shifts. 3, Arrow 2. Sorry, not happy with me. And Arrow 1. And it wants to position Arrow 4 at 7.37 on the horizontal from the top left corner and 6. So we're going to click on Arrow 4, and position is going to be 7.37. And 6.68 on the vertical. So there we go. And select all 4 arrows, distribute the lines vertically, then align left. And what we found is that you actually needed to align left before you distributed vertically. So I'm going to align left, and then in the align page, I'm going to go to distribute vertically. Isn't that beautiful? mean, actually, when you learn to do things right like that, it does work out quite well. All right. So now, this is going to be tricky. I'm just going to tell you. So we want to select the house and ungroup twice. Select it, go to Group, Ungroup, Group, Ungroup. It's ungrouped twice. Now you'll notice that this window right here is all selected while it is all selected. So we want to press Control D. It actually says to select the window on the left. So what you want to do, Control Z, is click off here. Control Z. See how many little pieces this is made up of? Wow, I just totally messed up. So I just hit redo, redo, redo. And I need to hit redo again because I have lost some elements of my house. Now, what I'm going to suggest is while that whole window is selected, hold down the Control key, which creates a copy, and drag that window down, and it wants the top of it even with the door, which is tricky. Do not let go of the Control key until you let go of the mouse button. Otherwise, it'll move the window and not create a copy of it. So, if you click too many times, you are going to have a big mess because this thing, parts of it will move to the back. So if you think about all of the little elements that make up this image, if the escutcheons here move to the back, then you end up with a blank because those are extra little lines. So everything is a separate little object, and it will give you a great deal of grief, I promise you. Okay, now we've done the window and the connector lines, and now we want to regroup the house shapes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag, and everything that I have completely enclosed will be selected, including the lines, and I don't really want the lines selected. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key and deselect the lines, and then I'm going to hit Group. And when I move it, I'll do Control Z. Now I need to send it to the back because my lines aren't showing. Okay, so align, actually send backwards, send to back. There we go. My arrows are now on the front again. So click slide 5 and insert a text box in the blank space at the bottom of the slide. So insert text box at the bottom of the slide and type change your lifestyle. And then change the font to 44 points. And align the text box to the center of the slide. So format, align, align center. There we go. Now, I might want to make my text box a little bit smaller and then do that again. There. That looks more correct, doesn't it? Okay, we're going to click on slide 2. And we're going to convert the bulleted text to a basic Venn SmartArt graphic. So, slide 2, I'm going to select the text, and then I'm going to go to Insert, SmartArt, and Its relationship is where you're going to find Venn diagram, interconnected rings, basic Venn. Okay. And it did not put our text there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and type it. And it should have, but it didn't. There we go. Now I'm going to close that. I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to delete these. Delete. And then it wanted us to change, Control Z. And now it wants to change the colors for the diagram to colorful range accent colors 3-4. So change colors here, colorful, accent 4, accent 3-4. There we go. That is actually pretty. All right, add a new slide. After slide 2, title and content. So new slide, title and content. And the title, what can you do? And then it wants us to insert a vertical picture accent list SmartArt. So we're going to go, we can click on the SmartArt icon right here and list is what we want. And it's vertical, let's see. Vertical accent picture list. There we go. Okay. And for the text, it wants it to be conserve electricity. And change the thermostat settings. And actually that is not supposed to be capitalized. And insulate. Now it wants us to change the picture icon. So when I click right here, I'm going to go to browse and we know where it is. It's in downloads. And that was conserve electricity. And I'm going to go here. Browse, and that was thermostat, and here, browse, and that was insulation. Change the color of the SmartArt to colored fill accent 3. Colored fill accent 3. Recolor the 3 pictures to orange accent 6 dark. I use the shift key to select them all at once. And for these, you notice we've got 2 sets. We've got SmartArt tools and we've got picture tools because we have both a SmartArt selected and pictures. But in order to recolor these, we need to go into the picture tools, color, and it wanted us to use orange accent color 6 dark. That's it. Now, click slide 4, select heat loss. And we are going to, this is another one where the instructions are just terrible because it says apply the fill blue background color to inner shadow. It's word art style to the text. So that's what it's actually asking us to do. Okay, it wants the fill blue background color to inner shadow. So there we go. And then it wants us to apply the triangle up, warp, transform effect. Text effects, transform, and triangle up. And I think that's triangle up. Indeed it is. All right, now we're going to click on slide 6 and select the placeholder, change your lifestyle, and apply fill white, outline gold, accent color. So fill white, outline gold, accent 1 glow, accent 1. There we go. And the square warp transform effect, we need to make this a bit longer. The square warp transform effect, so transform, square warp. Square warp, right there, first one. We want to apply fly-in animation to start on click. So I'm going to go to animations, fly in, on click, okay. That's it. Except for, you know, my thought is that I really would want to align center since that changed size. And so save it, close it, and submit it. You're done.